Today, we're looking at Noodler's Ottoman Rose. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Noodler's Ottoman Rose is a pink magenta kind of color. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Levenger True Writer with a broad nib to take my notes for this video. Now before we look at the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this pink that pushes straight up, and then we start getting that deep magenta tone across the top. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And the real difference we're seeing is this line across the bottom of that pink kind of staying in place a little bit. Odd that the lighter tones really stay there. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. Now I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it's right up there with the Ottoman Azure. You can't read a single thing, it is a train wreck. Perhaps use this ink and that one together so you can easily destroy your notes. That aside, don't use this as a note taker if you go back and highlight. Water is reactivating and lifting most all of this ink, but that pink that was staying behind on the second chromatography is staying behind a bit here with only 30 seconds of water on the page. Now pen flush with only 30 seconds, you are easily seeing the white of the paper, easily seeing the dots of the Rhodia dot pad coming through, making me say pen flush is all that you should need to get this out of your pen. Bleach, as would be expected, is completely lifting it off the paper, and is common, is leaving a little bit of yellow staining on the paper. For the inks I've tested, I found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Ottoman Rose has a viscosity of 3.08, making it a drier ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper with the extra fine and medium nib. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Ottoman Rose has an average dry time of 18 seconds, making it normal. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. It's a beautiful tone. The extra fine, slightly lighter tone with no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade, 13 seconds to dry. Now the medium gives us the same tone that we saw with the extra fine, a little lighter than the 1.1. No feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We weren't expecting it and we didn't get it. Yeah, and a smear test you could likely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Now look at what's going to happen on Tomoe River. Unfortunately, what I see is the 1.1 has spots that's bleeding very deep into the page. It's not coming through the page, so it's not bleeding through, but it does have show through. I think with a much wetter pen, you'd have to watch out. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The color is magnificent here. The extra fine is exactly the same tone with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 19 seconds to dry. The medium has the same magnificent tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. No feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 25 seconds to dry. I think this is worth it for the look of this ink on this paper. The extra fine and the medium scrubby show us no color variation. We got none. In the smear test, you can't recover this if you smear. So, Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. That's my stomach making noises. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. I think the color is really nice with this. This is a really nice magenta because it's got that hint towards pink. The rose part. 15 seconds to dry with the extra fine. Medium, same exact tone as the extra fine. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 19 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both show us no color variation. We weren't expecting it, we didn't get it. And the smear test you could probably recover if you smeared while you were writing. So yellow rhodia, what happens when we use a different tone paper? The yellow rhodia gives us no bleeding and no ghosting, which is not a surprise. It's still the rhodia paper. And Noodlers, a lot of people know them as having very dense inks, very opaque, and that is the case here. This is a strong dye in this ink. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The exact same tone with the extra fine. The exact same tone in the medium. It's the exact same tone as we saw on white. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 15 seconds to dry. The medium's no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation, and we didn't get any. In the smear test, you could probably recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Franklin Christoph paper. We get a lot of bleed spots, especially with the 1.1. All over it. We do see some with the extra fine, couple with the medium. So this ink looks like it's being a little more aggressive in there. The 1.1 has no feather spread. There's no show through, and other than a tiny spotting, you could probably use the back of the page. It does not bleed through to the next page. It's not actually bleeding all the way through the page. You just see all that spotting. The 1.1 is no feather, no spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine, the exact same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. My stomach just keeps talking to me. I'm going to probably need to eat. That's what happens when you do this first thing in the morning. 6 seconds to dry. The medium has the exact same tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 7 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and the smear test you could likely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Original Crown Mill paper, it's a very nice laid paper. It does not like this ink. It spots all over the place, tiny spots all over it. Now it's not showing through, it's not bleeding all the way through, it just makes the back of the page not look nice. Let's see if we... Yeah, camera's got problems. Let's change that. There we go. Yeah, the camera's having trouble because it's just a white. The thing is, I got spots all over it. But it's not bleeding through. It just makes the back of the page not look nice. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The exact same tone for the extra fine. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 8 seconds to dry. The color looks fantastic here. I just don't know with the way it spots through if I would use this. The medium has the exact same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. And the smear test you could likely recover if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for this writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Ottoman Rose, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I chose Noodler's Dostoyeosky because it is a very nice turquoise ink. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Noodler's Ottoman Rose? In a broad, wet pen, it is a very distinctive, beautiful magenta. In a very dry pen, I get much more of a pink. Definitely shows a bit more with a dry stub than it does on almost any extra fine that I have tried this ink in. I think this is a great magenta that if you like magenta inks, this one is definitely worth trying. And if you like pink inks and dry pens, this one is a good way to get there. Thanks for watching.